It's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've seen you brought some funds over to Europe.
Yes. We're excited about penetrating the European market. There's been a lot of demand. Got two funds that are out there that we launched over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months. Most recently, MSTY, which is the ETC version. There's a lot of demand for it right now. So there's a lot of investors that are looking at the product. And then we also launched another product back in March. I want to say it was YMAG, which is a more diversified portfolio of underlying stocks, U.S. based companies. So this provides a consistent, it's more or less a steady distribution to those investors that are looking for that consistency. Whereas the MSTY ETC, fundamentally you're taking a view on micro strategy. So you need to be comfortable with that risk, but we're excited to be in Europe. It's a different landscape, compared to the U.S. market. And we're looking forward to bringing some more products as well.
Is any more products available coming?
We are looking at a couple of the portfolio products. I don't know if I can say too much about it, but some of the other more diversified portfolio products, perhaps LFTY, CHPY, or those versions.
Yeah, we got that off Mike earlier, that those two are coming.
Yeah.
So is that the semiconductor?
That is the semiconductor one. Yeah. So a portfolio, I want to say 15 to 30 stocks. I assume it's going to be structured similarly to what we have in the U.S. And it pays out a distribution. In terms of a weekly distribution or a monthly distribution, because the U.S. version does pay a weekly. So I don't know how that's going to work yet, whether it's going to be monthly.
Are we going to see weeklies, do you think, or is it a challenge right now?
That's a great question. So I know that there's demand for it. Yeah. And if we can figure out a way from an operational standpoint to process the distribution so that investors can get them on a timely manner, then, we would love to do that. I think it's something that we need to figure out what the logistics are and operationally, whether it's feasible. Like in the U.S., all of our products, they follow a certain frequency. They declare typically on a Wednesday, they go X and record on Thursday, and then payment is on Fridays within those 3 days. That's doable in the U.S. I'm not sure whether it's doable or not in the U.S., but I'm sorry, in Europe.
Yeah. So on MSTY, there's 10 days between the X day and record day, etc. So do you think it'd be possible to do weekly at some point in Europe at all?
It's difficult for me to say. I think that you work with Han ETFs as they serve as the manager of the ETF itself. So if there's a way to do it, I'm sure we'll look.
I would say we've had problems already, not with YieldMax, but with funds in general, paying late. Like for income shares, for example, when they first come about, they were being paid 2 weeks late.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because, what you don't want to do is delay the payment to investors because ultimately they are waiting for that payment. If there's a fairly large delay between the X date record day and the payment date, traditionally maybe 5 days, it seems to be the average time frame. So I think it's important to figure that out first and know what we're faced with. And so to mitigate really some of the issues that maybe income shares or some of the other providers have seen already. So it is kind of a new territory, new landscape, and that's there.
Because weeklies would be a right mess if they were late. Could you imagine a couple of weeks late on a weekly?
We don't want that. Well, so, you should get your payment within a certain period of the record date. And so there's always going to be a delay. We need to figure that out.
These two new funds, will they be wrapped in the ETC? Or will they be normal funds?
I want to say ETC, but I don't necessarily know. Whether it's going to be ETC or UCITS is probably a little bit more involved. ETC would probably be a lot easier. Yeah. There are some challenges with the ETC because, you've got the withholding tax. That's a certain landscape that we need to navigate. And we are looking at alternative ways and strategies to figure out how to address that. Maybe doing it in a different structure, to be domiciled.
I think when I spoke to Mike earlier, the kind of gist I got off him was the baskets they're going to try not to put them in the ETC. Like YMAG, for example. And the single stock tickers kind of have to be in the ETC. I just didn't understand why that was the case. But obviously there's a lot of challenges right now. So talk a little bit about YMAG. Are you aiming to keep the yield around about the same as what it is now?
That's the target.
It's doing great.
Yeah,
it's doing absolutely great.
That's the goal, is to provide that targeted, annual income. So based on the composition of the portfolio and based on, how we employ the strategy and, consistently delivering that distribution is really the end goal. Now, markets can change, dynamics can change, but, ultimately it's, we feel comfortable that we're able to deliver, at least a steady distribution that's, close to 24%. But that's the goal. We want to make sure that we're able to keep that and deliver that consistently.
Because right now it's beating iShares QQQ in the UK on total return. So I can imagine that investors are very happy with YMAG right now. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's great so far. Could you talk a little bit about the strategy of YMAG? The cover calls and the vol spreads, exactly how we use, because UK investors are not really used to the option strategy.
So with YMAG, it's similar to all the ETFs that we have on the platform. It's what we say is that we provide investors with exposure to these underlying stocks. It's a basket of stocks, and then hold shares of some of the underlying stocks, and then we sell calls against those positions, right? So we're generating premium, but we're also harvesting the volatility and converting that volatility into cash flow. So we manage that, actively manage the underlying strategy, and we target, where we think we can capture the income on a consistent basis. And then from there, we try to provide investors with additional upside option, and the appreciation of the income.
So I guess if it's earnings week, you'll do a call spread, for example, around markets. That's generally.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking at kind of what's happening within the portfolio and figuring out, are we well positioned? And that could be a matter of like portfolio management. And you can have point strikes in those. Do we need to adjust the strikes? Start of the week, we look at what the implied volatility is, generally throughout the portfolio. And keeping in mind, okay, we've got certain stocks within the portfolio that, may have a money markets. So we need to figure out, all right, how are we positioned for those?
Yeah, which we've seen with tracking the portfolio. We've seen that when something's happening, that you've absolutely moved the call forward. So it is being managed correctly. So and we've seen that with his own eyes, just tracking it.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's working so great.
Yeah, it's we're excited about that. We're excited to see that there's momentum, and I think that investors, it's a new product, right? It's especially in the European market, and I would say it's fairly new here in the US, right? The option-based income strategy. And so it's almost being considered or looked at as an asset class, a new asset class. So, to be able to develop these strategies and place them into an ETF or ETC or usage wrapper and then actively manage it, and all of which is being done in highly liquid US names, where there's liquid options market through these underlying securities as well. And to be able to deliver that to investors where it's actively being managed. It's difficult for investors to do this on their own. I mean, some can do it and will do it, but to do it over an entire portfolio of 50 stocks or other, sectors that we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, doing a great job. If you look at MSTY, for example, I mean, we've got 382% return, total return so far. So, I mean, investors can't be knocking that so far. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Talk about Snowball. If you want 10% off Snowball, please use the promo code below and my link below, Cashflow King, to get 10% off. If you would like to use my pie so you can invest exactly the same as I do and the rest of the people who have also copied my pie, a lot of people have also pulled the trigger on this. If you want to join a Discord also with other like-minded investors, you can do that. Join our Discord, guys. Let's get talking. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe button, guys, and also hit the notification bell to keep updated with future video. Thank you, guys, and I will see you in the next one.